When Bitcoin was invented in 2008 by a mysterious entity called Satoshi Nakamoto, few people were interested. But in the following years, Bitcoin became an extremely valuable commodity, eventually reaching a peak value of almost $20,000 in 2017. However, because this cryptocurrency is necessarily anonymous, it is shrouded in mystery. Today, we're answering the question, who owns the most Bitcoin? First of all, it's important to have a basic understanding of the way Bitcoin works. Bitcoins are visible on something called a public address, and although these public addresses are anonymous, it is possible to triangulate information about the contents and hypothesize a potential owner. However, if you are a Bitcoin billionaire, you'll likely have several wallets, each of which may contain separate public addresses. This makes it very difficult to trace the Bitcoin assets of individuals, companies, or organizations using only the data recorded on the public blockchain. The single public address with the most Bitcoins belongs to the Huobi exchange, which holds more than 250,000 Bitcoins, equivalent to more than $2 billion, or 1.41% of all Bitcoins in circulation. However, this is an exchange, and not an individual, so it doesn't necessarily prove who owns the most Bitcoin. In all likelihood, the most Bitcoins belong to Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of the Bitcoin protocol, who, according to different estimates, should own at least 1.1 million BTC, or more than 6% of all Bitcoins created to date, equal to a fortune of almost $10 billion. But this hypothesis is complicated by the fact that Satoshi Nakamoto is almost definitely a pseudonym for a person or a group of people. No one has ever successfully confirmed the identity of this shadowy figure. To make things even more mysterious, none of these original Bitcoins have been moved in years. Many people believe that Nakamoto disappeared or possibly passed away, leaving the private keys to these 16,000 public addresses unusable. Some people speculate that the country of Bulgaria may own the most Bitcoins because it confiscated nearly 200,000 Bitcoins with a total value of $2 billion. However, the government vehemently denies this, and there is no record of the Bitcoins being used. In May 2017, a press release from the Southeast European Law Enforcement Center announced that more than 200,000 Bitcoins, worth $500 million, were seized by the Bulgarian authorities. The loot was seized from an organized criminal gang consisting mainly of Bulgarian citizens. The members of this criminal group would have invested most of the money obtained from illegal activities in Bitcoin for the purpose of hiding their own tracks. In reality, what exactly happened is not very clear. The press release is still valid, and there have been no corrections or clarifications for many years, despite the attention of the local and international media. All this means is that until proven otherwise, Bulgaria still holds these Bitcoins. Similarly, the FBI is rumored to have hundreds of thousands of Bitcoins, which they confiscated from supposed criminals. But unlike Bulgaria, these assets are constantly sold for hard currency, so the FBI is not accruing cryptocurrency long-term. Roger Ver is so quintessential to the cryptocurrency community that he was given the nickname Bitcoin Jesus. Roger Ver began his Bitcoin journey in March of 2011. He was the first person in the world to start actively investing in Bitcoin startups. He was responsible for the world's first Bitcoin billboard, national radio ads, the first large website to accept Bitcoin as payment, the $1 million Bitcoin bet, the seed funding for such companies as blockchain.info, bitpay.com, kraken.com, shapeshift.io, luckstack.com, safelo.com, and many, many more. As a result, Ver is a billionaire. He is still the CEO of bitcoin.com. Undoubtedly, two of the richest crypto billionaires are the Winklevoss twins, made famous for their portrayal in The Social Network. They famously sued the Facebook founder for stealing their idea. Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss took a large sum of the $65 million awarded to them by Mark Zuckerberg and invested it in cryptos when Bitcoin only cost $120 a piece. Forbes estimates their combined net worth is around $1.45 billion. Of course, this is far less than their old Harvard classmate Zuckerberg, who is worth almost $83 billion, but it's still nothing to sneeze at. The Winklevoss twins have warned Wall Street banks have been asleep at the wheel on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, something that's helped Bitcoin retail investors. Unlike the internet, which you couldn't buy a piece of, you can actually buy a piece of this new internet of money, Tyler and Cameron Winklevoss told CNN. Ultimately, their goal is for the traditional financial community to embrace cryptocurrency as a legitimate form of legal tender. Another big player in the Bitcoin world is Gavin Anderson. He corresponded with Nakamoto in the early days of Bitcoin, bought in while it was still cheap, and is using his expertise to champion the Bitcoin Cash movement. Bitcoin Cash is a variation on Bitcoin that arose after a schism in 2017. In 2018, Bitcoin Cash subsequently split into two cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV. Bitcoin Cash attempts to solve some of the problems posed by the original Bitcoin and allow more transactions by increasing the size of blocks in the blockchain. However, the price for Bitcoin Cash is far less than its predecessor. Holders of large amounts of Bitcoin are often known as whales, and they're becoming a worry for investors. They can send prices plummeting by selling even a portion of their holdings, and those sales are more probable now that the cryptocurrency is up nearly 12-fold in recent years. About 40% of Bitcoin is held by perhaps 1,000 users. At current prices, each may want to sell about half of his or her holdings, says Aaron Brown, former managing director and head of financial markets research at AQR Capital Management. What's more, the whales can coordinate their moves or preview them to a select few. Many of the large owners have known one another for years and stuck by Bitcoin through the early days when it was derided, and they could potentially band together to tank or prop up the market. Another honorable mention is Chris Larsen. Larsen made his crypto fortune with a net worth of around $8 billion, harnessing cryptocurrencies for use by the major banks. He is the executive chairman and co-founder of Ripple, which uses blockchain technology and is a system for verifying and recording transactions of all kinds of assets, including its own currency, XRP. He had an impressive history of backing technology winners, including the first peer-to-peer lender in the US. But in all likelihood, most of the world's Bitcoin billionaires are totally anonymous.